that individuals and groups are not the same. They're very different. None are identical. They're very different. There are certain characteristics or traits that identify or distinguish people. With that as a starting point, what goes also is the idea that science begins with some process of classification. It's the first step. You classify this versus that versus that. There's some classification. And so the personality psychologists focusing on traits or enduring characteristics differentiate individuals. And they ask the question of why, from the perspective of leadership, why are some people leaders and others are followers? Are there characteristics that distinguish these two groups? And so from there you begin to find certain characteristics identified with leaders, and some have gone to publish a great deal on the great man theories. And leaders come in different forms. Leaders are everywhere. We are not either leaders or followers. We are in some instances followers and other instances leaders. Leaders often we think in the framework of politics alone, but they occur in organizations. Small organizations such as the family has also a leader, and they have a followers and leader. Parents are leaders, children are followers, and then you have organizations larger than the family, and there also you always find a leader. You go beyond, and then of course at the level of nationality or nations, and even today in the global context, you have also leaders emerging. You have leaders in hospitals, you have leaders in organizations, you have leaders in religious organizations as well. We are not just simply leaders or followers. Sometimes we are followers and sometimes we are leaders. And what personality psychologists look at, those core characteristics, and then there comes the social psychologists who look at issues of leadership from the perspective of social situations which influence all of us. It's not just a matter of my own personality, but the group or the social context in which I live, I exist, influences my behavior and my thinking as well. So they take beyond the individual, they look at the social context. What exactly is going on? Often, as you know, there's a great deal of literature on social and organizational psychology as well. Some organizations thrive and develop, others fail. Just like governments and societies fail or thrive. And so the questions of leadership are often focused. In general, well, then you have, besides the personality psychologists and social psychologists, you also have clinical psychologists who come in and look at, in general, failure of leadership, as well as the dysfunctions in families and in society that take place. And so the clinical psychologists, of course, their aim is to understand health and improve health, but their study becomes more focused on where things have gone wrong and why. And here you have a great deal of literature that comes in situations where leaders have abused their people, have violated their rights, have created trauma through war, repression, torture, and so on, to their own people, and a great deal of literature. I mean, the classical ones go into the concentration camps, where so many have been massacred, gassed, and the survivors have come back to really struggle with these issues of how human beings can be so cruel, and so psychologists also look at those issues, and there are some great writers, psychologists and psychiatrists who wrote about these. And since then, you know, from World War II and the previous wars, more current wars, they also look at how those with power abuse people. Marka cilmiga psychology-gu waa wax ballaaran weeye, qaybo fara badan buu leeyahay, mid ka warramaya shakhsigan iyo shakhsigaas maxay ku kala duwan yihiin, keebaa madax ama hoggaan noqon kara, keebaa noqonaya, muxuu u noqdaa hoggaan, muxuu maxaan ku idhaa wataa, calaamadaha uu wataa waa maxay, iyo kuwa raacaya kuwaasina waa maxay baa su'aalaha qaar kalena waxay eegaan xaaladaha bini aadamku ku jiro qudheediiba ayaa maxaan ku idhaa xukunta. Marka some of the questions that come up: what are the personal characteristics of leaders? What's the nature between leaders and followers? Because you need both for the discussion we're talking about. You can't just talk about leaders in the abstract. They must have followers. Without followers, there's no leader. And groups, followers also must have a leader. And what are the nature of their relationship? Why do we perceive some people better to be leaders and others not so? And what are the circumstances that evoke leadership qualities in people? Can leadership be taught, or does one have the qualities already inborn? Why do leaders mislead, oppress, and how do their pathology or their problems, once they become leaders, enlarge it in masses of people? A leader who is pathological has massive impact on a community, just as a leader who has good health, good perspective, can heal, can lead people to better life. Okay, with those general things, and just perhaps let me add a few things about some approaches. I'm not going to be comprehensive, but I'll be selective, and then take it from there to apply to Somali context. What else a leader does is gives protection, improves at least protection and security. Not only physical security, but emotional security. Leader, at his best or at her best, also gives a sense of inclusion, of belonging, of being together.